Is anxiety genetic? Today, I'm going to be answering that question, sharing my views with you on that question. My name's Mark. My website address is anxietyhypnotherapist.org. Starting in October, I have a 4-week stress and anxiety program. You can find details of that in the description to this live. You can also find details of the free depression and anxiety workbook, which I created. So anyway, back to the question. Is anxiety genetic? I would say that anxiety is a conditioned response from being repeatedly exposed to things that caused you or cause you to experience fear. So when you're being exposed to things that put you into the fight or flight response, you develop associations around those things, and that causes you to experience anxiety. A man called Ivan Pavlov, I'm sure you've heard of, wanted to do some research into dog saliva. So he got some dogs, he tied them up, sprayed meat powder into their faces to make them salivate. He found that after a while, the dogs would salivate when they heard the bell. I don't know if he just rang a bell before he sprayed them with meat powder for some reason, or if he set an alarm to remind him to spray them with meat powder. But either way, they heard a bell, they started to salivate, and that is what's known as a conditioned response. I used to struggle with blushing. Being ginger, you can't really see in this slide, and I'm not as ginger as I used to be, but I used to be ginger, and I would blush very easily. And I felt a lot of shame around blushing. I felt very embarrassed about blushing. One of the symptoms of embarrassment is blushing. And then I would associate different scenarios and different situations with blushing. When I found myself in those scenarios and situations, I would blush. This would heighten my anxiety around blushing, which led to more blushing. So blushing was a conditioned response which was fed by my anxiety and embarrassment. Blushing increased my anxiety levels. So that is my explanation for anxiety, what anxiety is. Some studies have found a link between anxiety and genetics. And the studies are often funded by drug companies who are obviously looking for a specific result, and they're paying the people doing the studies to find that result. Also, there's a phenomenon called epigenetics, which means that your genes are turned on and off depending on your environment. People like Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza talk more about epigenetics. Sure, there's lots of other people that talk about epigenetics, but those are the two that I know of. If you want to look more into that, you should look them up. So it's like the chicken and the egg scenario. What comes first? Is it the anxiety, or is it the genetic predisposition? Also, with genetics, they're looking at family members, people that anxiety sufferers would have grown up around. Those people would have modeled emotions for their children, for the younger people in their family. As children, we're looking to our parents and to our adults around us to model emotions for us, to show us how we should view the world, how we should manage our emotions. If we are growing up around people who suffer with anxiety or are emotionally dysregulated, we're going to pick up on that. That's going to form our map of the world. We're going to develop the belief that the world's not a safe place. We're going to pick up those things from the people around us. So, yes, that is what I think. Tell me what you think in the comments. And as I said, starting in October, the first Sunday of October, I have a 4-week stress and anxiety program. You can find details of that in the link below. So to summarize what I'm saying, anxiety is a conditioned response from being repeatedly exposed to things that cause you fear. Some studies have shown a connection between anxiety and genetics, but the people you grow up around are going to influence your map of the world. Whatever you witness from the people that you're growing up around, you're going to internalize that. You're going to take on those ways of behaving. If you're growing up around people who have been shamed out of their emotions, they're not going to be able to model those emotions for you in a healthy manner. And even if anxiety is genetic, you can still reduce the symptoms and start to overcome anxiety with the use of hypnotherapy. And what resists not only persists but becomes stronger. So the more you tell yourself this is a bad feeling, I don't want this feeling, the more you try and suppress that feeling, fight against that feeling, the stronger that feeling is going to become. As I said, for me, with blushing, I would look for myself blushing, and if I wasn't blushing, I would actually cause myself to blush because I'd be looking for it, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So even if anxiety is genetic, hypnotherapy can still help. My 4-week stress and anxiety program that you can find out more about in the description below can still help. So have a look at that. Get the free anxiety and depression workbook that you can also find in the description below. Thank you very much and good night.